Alex Leader, Vice Chair.
Kathy Ditzler, Chair.
Linda Zeziger, Secretary and Treasurer.
Jeanette Penalty.
David Austin, President.
Kimberly Arguello, Senior Deputy Attorney General for the Board.
Sarah Bradley, Deputy Attorney General for the staff.
Vince Steno, Executive Director.
Deborah Blasco, Accountant.
Annie Curtis, Chief Inspector.
Okay, that brings us to agenda item number 1, consideration and approval of the agenda and its posting. Has it been properly posted?
Yes, it has been posted in accordance with open meeting law.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to find that we don't have to make a motion if it's been properly agendized. Is that correct? There's no motion required?
No, all you need to do is approve the agenda or make modification for this meeting.
We're okay. Okay. That takes us to item number 2, consideration and approval of the board meeting minutes for December 7th, 2009. Do I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that we approve the board meeting minutes for December 7th, 2009 with any corrections that will be provided to Deborah Blasco.
Wait a second.
Motion made by Alex Leader and seconded by Deborah Jones. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Madam Chair, can I ask the board members, please speak up? The storm noise and cars are making it difficult to hear. So speak up, please. Thank you.
Do we want to just go right on in? Or
Yes.
I'm gonna go ahead and do the statement. At this time, the board will begin its disciplinary hearings. I'm going to take a few minutes to describe the process. When you hear your case called, please step forward and take a seat at the table. The hearings are conducted just like a trial. We have a court reporter who will swear in all the witnesses. He will also take down everything that is said in the hearing. He can only take down one person at a time, so it is very important that only one person speak at a time. The state will go first and present its case. You will be given the opportunity to ask questions of the state's witnesses. After the state has completed its case, you will be given the opportunity to present your case. You may present documentary evidence, call a witness, or even testify on your own behalf. The board may also ask questions, and the board will deliberate and make a decision. Now, I would like to say, though, if I do not say your name right, don't hold that against me. So we will move on to our next agenda item.
We would like to do number 6, which is oral complaint hearing about Super Cosmetology versus Sarah.
Good idea.
I need all the witnesses to stand. Be sworn in.
Everybody who's going to testify, please stand and raise your right hand.
Translation, is it? Let me swear the translator first. This is Spanish. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will accurately translate from Spanish to English and English to Spanish to the best of your ability? And if you will state the oath as I administer it to her, Mr. Green, and if she would stand. Have her stand and raise her right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give before this commission to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Board Chairman John Gard for the respondent. Bar number 5961.
Madam Chair, it's my understanding that counsel for the respondent was just hired on Friday afternoon and is not prepared to proceed for a hearing today and is going to be requesting a continuance. So I'll let counsel speak.
Couldn't have said, Board Chairman, I couldn't have said it better myself. I was just reading on Friday afternoon. I've gotten a complaint and state counsel graciously offered to provide discovery and all documentation in the state's case for me to prepare for this hearing. Or to be sent out.
Do we need a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that we grant the stated offer.
Continuing it to a date certain.
Continuing it to the June 2010 meeting, I believe it's June 26th.
My motion would be restated to continue this to June 2010.
I'll second that motion.
Madam Chair, just as a clarification, this is for Laura Acero, license number 25497.
I apologize, it's actually June 14th. If you want to update it, I apologize.
And that's the correct respondent?
Correct.
Do we have any discussion?
I don't need to modify the time statement that I said June.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Austin, and seconded by Ms. Rinaldi. No discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
We are also going to change to agenda item, next one will be number 17. Okay, for complaint hearing,
On August 7 of '09, indicating that Ms. Alarcon had used a fraudulent social security number to obtain her license.
And then what did you do?
I looked up her file. I sent the social security number to the Social Security Administration Special Agent Lance Kidwell, and I asked him to verify the number that Ms. Petch had included on her application for license.
And what did Mr. Kidwell respond?
He responded on August 17th of '09 that her number that was provided was an invalid social security number.
And so what would that mean?
Invalid meaning that the number doesn't exist in their system.
Where did you get the social security number that you put on that memo?
From the application that she originally provided to us for her license.
Thank you. I'm showing you what's been pre-marked as State's Exhibit 1. Do you recognize that document?
I do.
And what is that?
This is the document that I sent to Agent Kidwell requesting that he verify the number, and this is the response I received.
I'd ask that this memo be admitted as State's Exhibit 1. And I apologize, copies of the board members will be available. So now showing you what's been pre-marked as State's Exhibit 2. Do you recognize that document?
I do.
And what is that?
This is the application for licensure in Nevada submitted by Ms. Petch.
And is there a social security number in this application?
There is?
And is it the same number that you included on the memo that you sent to Mr. Kidwell?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. I'd ask that this be admitted as State's Exhibit 2. Mr. Green, I'm now showing you what's been pre-marked as State's Exhibit 3. Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
And what is that?
These were the documents that I found in the file of Ms. Petch.
And what is that a copy of?
One is a Nevada identification card. One is a copy of the Social Security card.
And is that the same Social Security number that you included on the memorandum sent to Mr. Kidwell?
It is.
I'd ask that this document be admitted as State's Exhibit 3. I have no further questions for Mr. Green at this time.
Discussion, not any questions for Mr. Green? Would you like to take a stand or would you like to take a quick? You're fine? Is there any board members that have any questions?
Madam Chair, is this your social security number?
It's not an ITIN number. I think, well, the number that I came to Texas was, but it's under my name, so that's why I did it. But it's my application.
And is there a distinction?
I'm sorry?
Is there a distinction between my question and her response?
EIN number as opposed to a social security for clarification.
Or a tax, an EIN is an employer's identification number. Or employer's identification number. And social security, these two are not.
It's my understanding that an EIN number is a 2-digit dash number.
I think so.
Yes, thank you.
So I just would ask you again, is this your social security number?
Yeah. Any other questions?
Hold on. So you have any questions for witness?
I think the board's answered all the questions I would have. Thank you.
I did. She did. So,
Okay. Say something. I just want to, I have a question. What disciplinary action will you take since this happened? What's the consequence of it?
we haven't got to that part yet. Can I say what can happen? You can visualize it.
Well, throughout this whole time that I've had my license, I haven't worked with it. So that's basically what I wanted to do. Just, I guess I know it's going to get revoked, but it's fine. So that's why I had anything else to add.
You can do a voluntary surrender if you want to, which means that you give your license up voluntarily, and the board may approve that agreement. It's probably a little bit better than having it revoked as far as your file goes. It's up to you.
And what about it? Throughout this whole time, my status here, my legal status in the U.S. is being processed. So I will get it.
Do you want, let's continue this hearing
Ms. Rosales?
Ms. Rosales, she told me she would like to consider getting a voluntary surrender. However, before she does that, she'd like to speak to an attorney. And so she's asked for a continuance to find an attorney to come back with her. And so I have no objection to that request, and that would mean that she'd be rescheduled for the June 14th meeting.
Okay, since we do have a motion on the table, I need to ask that the two board members rescind their motions.
I rescind.
Everything. Okay. So then we'll go and need a motion to extend or to postpone.
Discussion on that?
That make the motion to discuss.
Continue.
So I'd like to make a motion to grant the continuance to the June board meeting.
Okay.
No.
My question, would she be allowed to still continue to work based on this continuance?
It would be, because without a formal hearing on the merits, their license is still active.
Any other discussion? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Nay. Abstain.
So that's 4-3. So the ayes pass 4-3.
Days pass away.
No.
More nays. One of the nays raise their hands. So motion fails.
So what do we do on the end of this case? Do we continue with the,
I think you might want to obtain some legal advice before proceeding.
I would be very concerned that this woman has asked to continue this matter because she wants to seek legal counsel. Any action by the board is, I would not advise you to do that. I think that if it comes on judicial review, any judge may look at that and it would then come back to you. Okay.
so then do we need to take another, get another motion?
And I would concur, on behalf of the staff, my general principle is to always, if somebody asks for continuance, I always give them the first request. We do send the paperwork in advance, but things happen, they try to get counsel, who knows what happens before they get here. So as a courtesy, and I think out of fairness to everybody, I always do not object to the first continuance. And again, I would concur with my colleagues' advice that, especially when someone's saying they want to see an attorney, they do have a right to see an attorney. Obviously the board will pay, but they have a right to have an attorney represent them. And so if they're indicating they want to talk to an attorney before entering into a voluntary surrender or other agreement, I have no objection, and I would ask the board to approve the continuance request.
And I'm going to ask that there's not really a health risk or anything on that lines right now because she's not ever had the violations against her.
Yeah, I don't believe there's any grounds for a summary suspension or anything like that.
Okay, then I guess we need to make a new motion.
I'll restate my motion to grant continuance to June board meeting.
Motion made by Austin,
And I'd like to second that.
seconded by Ms. Jones. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried.
I abstain.
Kim abstained. Okay.
Generally, you only abstain if
It's my protest vote.
Well, then that would be a nay. You vote nay if that's your vote. But to abstain means you have, there
be, after this continuance, there'll be no other continuance.
Is there a standard time?
The next Las Vegas meeting is June 14th, and I did tell her that I agree only to the first continuance. After that, I'll object unless there's very good, strong cause for a continuance later.
Okay. That brings us to item number 7, Nevada State Board of Cosmetology versus Guadalupe Bureau, case number C09-116. There's a violation of the NRS 644.210, NRS 644.214, NRS 644.430B, and NRS 644.430K.
Ma'am, would you raise your hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this board to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Before we proceed, Mr. Bill, I know I spoke prior to this hearing, and I just want to ensure that you wanted to proceed today. I was unclear. Yes. So she wants to proceed today? Okay, thank you.
She said for the extension.
Oh, she wants to have an extension? If she wants to get an attorney?
Yes.
Based on Ms. Carrillo's intention to get an attorney and her request for a continuance, I have no objection, and I would ask that this matter be continued to the June 14th meeting in Las Vegas.
Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to move a continuance to the June 14th meeting. For case number C09-116, Guadalupe Carrero.
I'd like to second that motion.
Motion made by Ms. Liu, seconded by Ms. Jones. Any discussion?
Madam Chair,
Maybe council or maybe explain the consequences of why we granted.
The continuance?
Yes, so just so orders are clear, we don't feel uncomfortable with granting them, because I know some people.
Yeah, and the real reason is everyone has a constitutional right to come before the board, and they have a right to due process. And due process requires that if they ask for an attorney, we don't force them to go forward without one, within reason. And, you know, one continuance, I think, by any judge's standards, would be reasonable.
I understand that for American citizens. But is that right pertain to constitutional rights pertain to
Yes.
legal citizens?
Yes, everyone has a right.
Well, because they have been issued a license, and so they have a property interest in the license regardless of their citizenship. The board has given them a license. And so now, before we take it away or do anything to it, we have to have a hearing. They have to have an opportunity to be heard on the merits of the case before anything happens. And so part of an opportunity to be heard, a meaningful opportunity, is the right to an attorney at the proceeding, if they want one. Obviously, not everybody chooses to have one. But in this case, she's asking for one before she proceeds. And so
On the advice of counsel, or they're just in educating about the situation, they're allowed to keep working. They understand that if they come before us again, that we will ask for court proceeding charges, and they will be responsible to pay for all the fees.
Is that something that you do for everyone?
Yes.
Certainly. But
certainly,
generally,
yeah, and that's something that you can handle. When you have the hearing on the merits, normally what you do is you determine guilt or not. The second part is determining the penalty, and then the last part is determining costs. And that's what you're talking about.
Right.
but you can't get there and you can't discuss that without first having a hearing and finding guilt, which we've not done yet.
Okay, but not for me, but just so they understand.
I can try to some board staff.
As long as they understand. Okay.
I do have another question, Madam Chair. And so I just want to double check too that on page 3 of the amended complaints and the notice of hearings, we do advise them to consider their rights and consider having their attorney present. And so are they not reading this well enough that they're coming before us to then ask for continuances? I mean, I'm just not quite sure how we can be a little more encouraging to bring all of us together and have them be more encouraged to be prepared.
I think there's several things possibly happening. The first one is that the notice is sent out 30 days prior. They may not get it right away. Attorneys are busy, they're busy. I believe, at least in some of these cases, they have tried to talk to attorneys and just haven't been successful in the time that they've had prior to today. The other issue potentially is this is all written in English, and I know for some of these respondents, English is not a language that they read or speak very well. And so it's possible they're not completely understanding everything in the complaint, unfortunately. And today they have the ability to have an interpreter help them understand better what these documents say. So,
is there an opportunity then to upgrade the amended complaints and notice of hearing to minimize the number of continuances so we don't all get together to have to hear this same matter today and in the future?
Upgraded meaning like write it in Spanish?
Or, be a little clearer that...
Even if it, but the timing issue and the English issue aren't going to be really affected by clearer language.
And this is the standard language I use for all the complaints that I do for all of my clients. I don't know what I can do to make it clearer.
I'd like to do two of my meeting right here, is that they have not, they passed a test, they were given a license, and so I think to have the due process of having an attorney here to really make sure that they do have a social security number or they don't is really important. If they were out there harming the community, then I would feel totally different about this. But we did grant them a license without checking the social security number. So I think some of it falls back on us. That's my own personal feeling.
But at the same time, we don't have, we can't do that either. So
Right.
one thing is that we are obligated under the law to follow due process. And due process is what we're doing.
Okay, bring this to a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Ms. Carrillo, been granted a continuance, and I want to make sure that you understand that there will be no further continuances after that.
I want to spend this week. You understand the end of the Yes, she understands.
She understand?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there anything else?
Not in this case. The only thing I would ask is, Mr. Green, if you could double check Ms. Carrillo's address before she leaves, just to make sure we have the correct information. Also, her phone number, it'd be nice to make sure we have a correct phone number, just in case. Okay.
I did have another quick question. If they're not serviced properly without a correct address and phone, does that give another opportunity for continuance?
It can, however, they have an obligation to ensure that the board has the correct address. And so legal service is completed upon mailing to the address that they provided to the board. That's legal service. However, the Nevada Supreme Court and the United States Supreme Court have recognized that if we have other information, we should use that. So for example, a lot of these individuals have their home address, and maybe there's a problem with that address, but we also know where they work. So if we send it to the home address and we have a problem, then we also try to send it to where they work as well, because even though we've completed service, it's always better to give real notice if we can. And I'm asking that in these cases we follow up to ensure we have the right information, just to make it easier for the future proceedings we're going to have, that we know that they'll get that notice. And I just think it's a good practice, especially in some of these where things have changed. So I'm asking him to check, not really have problems always, but just to double check that we have what we need, since they're here today.
That brings us on to item number 8, United States Board of Cosmetology versus Jose Rodriguez Chadias, case number C09-117, alleged violation of the NRS 644.210, NRS 644.214, NRS 644.230B, and NRS 644.430A. Could you stand by these?
You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before the board to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Could you state your name and spell your last name?
Jose Rodriguez. Jose Rodriguez.
Madam Chair, during the recess, I spoke with Mr. Chidas, and he indicated that prior to the hearing, he and two colleagues had attempted to obtain representation, were unsuccessful. He would like to continue trying to find an attorney, and so he is asking for a continuance. And given that it's his first request, again, I have no objection.
That would be to the June 14th.
Yes.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to continue Jose Rodriguez Chavez, number 27497, until the June 14th meeting.
Okay, hold on a second.
He just said that he wants to,
Voluntarily surrender?
surrender.
Oh, okay.
He doesn't have it,
Okay.
but he will.
I'll retract my motion.
I apologize. That was one of the things we discussed, but not.
So we need a motion to,
Yeah, hold on, she's going to ask questions.
I would just like to present then our discussion regarding voluntary surrenders. I'm going to go ahead and say some things about what you're agreeing to, and then the board will ask you if you agree. Okay? Okay. So to do a voluntary surrender, we need to agree that the Social Security number you provided was not valid. Is that true? And therefore, we talked about that you can surrender your license. And what that means is you can't work anymore as a licensed cosmetologist after today. Today is, it's effective right now. And what you'll have to do is come back to the board office and give them your paper license. But it's effective right now the minute that you agree on the record. And we will send an order to you that tells that says that you've surrendered your license and the board has approved that voluntary surrender. Do you understand that?
Yes.
And what that means too is you won't have a license right now, but you can come back and reapply in the future if you have the correct paperwork.
Yeah.
And what that also means is it does count as discipline, so it will be in your file, but it's a voluntary surrender. There's no fine, there's no cost, and it's not a revocation or a suspension. So if you ever reapply, you don't have to mark that you were revoked because you weren't. Do you
you understand that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so you still have to tell people about it. I'm guessing any other state would ask about discipline, and I know Nevada asks, but it's not a revocation.
No, I come back from Mexico.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. So, Madam Chair, I would ask that you just double check with Mr. Chidas that he does want to surrender his license, and then I would ask that the board approves his voluntary surrender of his license. And I would like to verify his address, and we'll send him an order. And he should come back and surrender his license, I'd say within maybe 48 hours to the board office.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Excuse me, did you say 48 hours?
Yeah, I just want to give him time in case he can't come back this afternoon. Maybe if he could come tomorrow, say no later than tomorrow by 5 o'clock.
Mr. Rodriguez, you do understand that you are turning your license over voluntarily, and you will comply with everything that the Deputy Attorney General has said.
Yeah.
So he'll give a paper copy tomorrow by 5. Is that okay?
Is that a yes?
Yeah.
Okay, he needs to say yes.
Sí.
Oh, yes.
You have to say yes.
Okay, do I have a motion?
I make the motion to suspend,
Accept.
accept the voluntary surrender of Jose Rodriguez's license. He will turn it into the office within 48 hours.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made by Ms. Booth, seconded by Mr. Austin. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, and Mr. Rodriguez, you do understand, well, go with that.
Well, you can't work anymore, and it's effective right now.
Okay, that's it, thank you.
Thank you. God bless you, everybody.
Let's see, item number 9, Nevada State Board of Cosmetology versus Juana Guzman Cruz. Case number C09-018, alleged violation of NRS 644.210, NRS 644.214, NRS 644.430B, and NRS 644.430A.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this board to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
You want to state your name?
Juana Guzman.
Has Ms. Cruz decided how she'd like to proceed today?
She wants to get an extension so she can make someone to represent.
Based on Ms. Cruz's intention to obtain an attorney and her request for an extension, I'd ask that her hearing be continued for the June 14th, 2010 meeting in Las Vegas. It's my understanding that prior to the hearing, Ms. Cruz did attempt to obtain an attorney, and she spoke to at least one and would like to find someone to represent her.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to, that we grant a continuance to the June
No.
And is that relevant information?
No.
Because Alex, if I look at the 10 mine private link, and I assume rent, they have no legal right to check my social security number.
So there's no establishment citation that's given for hiring somebody?
No, the establishments would have to be assumed to be hiring competent and licensed staff because we issue the license. In our determination of finding fraudulent documents within the file, that does not affect the establishment whatsoever. The pigeons of the Anyway, there is no nexus between the individual licensee and the establishment which they work in. There's some proven conspiracy of some type. We have not established that.
And so it's understood that we're not, I mean, of the 10 that we've heard, there's not one established. And even if it were, it would be irrelevant.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Okay, that takes us on to item number 10. Nevada State Board of Cosmetology versus Sylvia Soria, case number C09-120, alleged violation of NRS 644.210, NRS 644.214, NRS 644.30B, and NRS 644.430K.
You solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give before this board to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Is she a
She
witness?
was asking for her daughter to interpret, but I said it's better to have the court interpreter.
Right.
So, you want her to sit back there?
Yes.
Could you state your name, please?
Cynthia Soria. Ms. Soria, have you decided how you'd like to proceed today? She wants to last for an extension.
Okay. Again, it's my understanding that Ms. Soria, along with the previous respondent, did attempt to get legal counsel prior today, and she would like to continue to try to get an attorney to come back with her for the June 14th meeting. Based on her first request for a continuance to get an attorney, I have no objection. I've asked the board to approve the continuance to the June 14th meeting, which is the next Las Vegas meeting.
I'll make a motion that Billy and Frankie will give us continuance for Ms. Soria to June 14th, 2010 board meeting, so she gets a chance to obtain legal counsel.
I'll second. Motion made by Mr. Austin, seconded by Ms. Jones. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
And so will this be a 2-day meeting?
It'll be the same meeting, repeated.
And there is really no avenue to minimize the number of continuance requests?
Not really. I mean, sometimes we know prior to the meeting, for some of my other agencies that I work with, frequently people will ask prior to the meeting, and so we can alert the board ahead of time that maybe the meeting will be shorter than we anticipated or something like that. But they really have the right to ask for a continuance.
And they ask that continuance formally as opposed to us asking if they want that prior to?
Either way, I mean, I think sometimes when you come before the board, you realize that it's not what you thought it would be, and you feel like you should have an attorney with you, and so sometimes the day of, I think people realize maybe they should consider that, and maybe they hadn't really thought of it prior. And so I'm not sure how to minimize that. I think they still have the same right. And then there are people who and we do have coming up, 2 cases where we had a written request approximately, I think, 2 weeks ago for a continuance. So that person received the notice and said, I don't We also have 4 voluntary surrenders today, so I think certainly that can happen.
Madam President, it's really incumbent upon board members to recognize that justice is very slow when due process is installed into the system. This protects everyone's rights. It protects your case by making sure you cross all the T's and dot all the I's, as well as it protects the rights of the individual to be sure they're properly represented. Patience in this case is really what you have to consider. That's why the courtroom itself takes so long to resolve cases, because we're protecting against anyone's rights from being violated, and also that we proceed in a manner that is totally defensible in the courts. So you just need to understand this. It's always going to be like this. We can attempt to speed it up as best we can by getting better advice and learning new tricks to make it understandable what the ultimate situation will be for each of the people involved. But I think patience in this is absolutely required.
Thank you.
Mr. Rea, the board has approved for you to have a continuance, and I'd like to advise you that there will be no continuances after June 14th. Okay? Yes. Thank you. That brings us on to item number 11, I believe.
Yes, Madam Chair. Items number 11 and 12. 11 is Nevada State Board of Cosmetology versus Maria Leticia Romero. And number 12 is Nevada State Board of Cosmetology versus Letty Salon de Luisa Maria L. Romero, owner. The board has received written requests from Ms. Romero for a continuance in both cases. She would like to speak to an attorney prior to having a hearing. And I have prepared something for your signature. I'm not sure if you received it. So I would ask that we approve that continuance and send that to Ms. Romero. I have spoken to her on the phone and told her that we would be approving that because board staff had no objection, and I did speak to you about it. So we'd ask that be continued to June 14, 2010.
Do we need to do each one separate?
No, I think you can do it together. It was one written request.
So, Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to authorize the board chair to sign the notice of continuance for Letty Salon de Bellezia, Maria L. Romero, owner, license S10753, and individually Maria Leticia Romero, license 24290.
I'll second that.
Motion made by Mr. Leader, seconded by Ms. Booth. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That takes us to item number 13, Nevada State Board of Cosmetology versus Ivaco, Gonzalez, Chavez, case number C09-109, alleged violation NRS 644.20, NRS 644.214, NRS 644.430B, and NRS 644.430A. Is Mr. Chavez here?
We actually have a voluntary surrender executed in this case. Ms. Chavez had an attorney at the prior, and because he executed the documents after the 30-day notice. And the second document I have for the board's consideration is the actual voluntary surrender agreement as well. It has been signed by Ms. Aracel Gonzalez Chavez, and also I have approved it as to form, as has Ms. Chavez's attorney. So what we would need for the agreement to be complete is the board to approve it, a signature by the board chair and executive director. In the agreement, she acknowledges that the Social Security number was fraudulent and voluntarily surrenders her license and agrees not to practice any further.
I'd like to make a motion then, Madam Chair, that we authorize the board chair to sign the amended voluntary surrender in lieu of other disciplinary actions regarding Aracel Gonzalez Chavez, license 28147.
Actually, it might be simpler to disapprove the agreement, just so that.
To approve
Yes,
and sign the
yes.
amended voluntary surrender agreement.
I second.
Motion made by Mr. Reader, seconded by Ms. Haziger. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Now,
Are all these the same?
Yes.
Same documents?
now, item number 14 is the same.
Yes. Inez Gonzalez Chavez. Again, Ms. Chavez was represented by counsel. We have drafted a voluntary surrender agreement in lieu of other disciplinary action. The agreement has been signed by Ms. Inez Gonzalez Chavez and also approved as to form by myself and Ms. Chavez's attorney, Mary Perry. I also have a waiver of open meeting law service requirements in this case because, again, we executed the agreement after the requirement. I'd ask that the board approve the agreement, and all we need to fully complete it is a signature from the chair and from Mr. Jimno.
I have a motion. Second that.
I'll make a motion that we accept the voluntary surrender.
Second.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Austin, seconded by Ms. Haziger. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 15.
Yes.
Nevada State Board of Cosmetology versus Rufina Gonzalez Chavez. Case number 609-112, alleged violation of NRS 644.210, NRS 644.214, NRS 644.430B, and NRS 644.430K.
Again, we have entered into a voluntary surrender in lieu of other disciplinary action in this case. Ms. Chavez has admitted to providing an invalid Social Security number, and we have a voluntary surrender agreement that I have approved as to form, as has her attorney. The agreement is also signed by Ms. Rufina Gonzalez, and we've asked that the board approve the agreement, and all we need to finalize the agreement will be a signature from the chair and from Mr. Jimno. Again, we have a waiver of open meeting law service requirements in that case.
Motion.
I make a motion that we accept the voluntary surrender of license for Ms. Rufina Gonzalez.
Have a second.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made by member Mr. Austin and seconded by Ms. Booth. And question?
Ms. Bradley, I just want to double check that when I'm reading page 2, that in that second paragraph from the bottom, that the respondent is also waiving their rights to appeal this amended voluntary surrender?
Yes, that is one of the things that a voluntary surrender does, is there's no right to appeal it to the district court. They immediately stop working, they give the license over, and so the matter is concluded as of today.
And so there's no difference in this voluntary amended surrender and any of the other ones that we...
Okay.
The reason it's amended is I noticed there were, well, actually Ms. Glasgow noticed that there were a couple of statutory citations in error in a previous agreement, and I had already sent it to the other attorney, and so to be clear, I sent them an amended voluntary surrender with the correct citations, just so that we had record of what I had done. So I just goofed on the first one.
Take a vote. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Ms. Glasgow.
Okay, item number 16. Nevada State Board of Cosmetology versus Inez Beauty Salon. Inez Gonzalez Chavez, owner. Case number C09-121, alleged violation of NRS 644.3401, NRS 644.430B, and NRS 644.430A.
It's my understanding in this case that the ownership of the salon has changed. They have come into the office and completed the paperwork to do that, so that the owner of the salon no longer has an invalid Social Security number. And Mr. Green has evidence about this if you'd like me to call him.
Does that mean that we have a match from Mr. Kidwell?
Have we checked the new Social Security number?
Well, it's the same. Inez Gonzalez Chavez was the previous owner of Inez Beauty Salon. So the surrender that you just accepted was one of the owners, was the owner of this salon.
But now there's a new owner.
Now there's a new owner.
Yes.
And do we have
As
a
of
match?
February 12th, Valvanero Aguiar purchased the salon.
We're not allowed, this Vince didn't know, we're not allowed to check that. There's no system for us to check Social Security numbers in advance, only if we open a criminal investigation.
Thank you.
And based on the fact that the ownership has changed, I would withdraw the complaint in this case.
Was the ownership license surrendered?
Well, the owner surrendered her personal license, and that was a previous case you just
What about her
approved.
establishment license?
Well, she didn't have to surrender it because now there's a new owner, and so if there's not an issue, it was sold, and so the establishment can stay open, but she's just no longer having an invalid license or Social Security number with the owner.
Give me a motion to.
I would,
withdraw it.
yeah, I would like to withdraw the complaint, and I guess the board should approve the withdrawal.
I'd like to make a motion that we withdraw the complaint of item, case number C09-121, alleged violation of NRS 644.0.1, NRS 644.430B, and NRS 644.430LK.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Austin, seconded by Ms. Booth. Any discussion?
I have one. Feel free, Ms. Jones.
Oh, I was concerned about the ownership license and why that wasn't surrendered.
Can I, because it doesn't exist anymore. Somebody else bought it and they applied and got a whole new license to
I
that.
see. So it's different.
It's a whole different person.
Thank you.
Is that fair?
She no longer has an ownership interest.
So
So
that's
there's nothing to
one of the reasons they're saying this. Whenever you apply, we don't check Social Security unless it's a blank file. In this case, it's a new person, so there's no reason for us to hear. Or they don't even know it. They don't even know it anymore anyway. The license doesn't exist any longer.
And then I just had a quick question. So we're no longer looking at a license 10595. The new establishment has a new number.
That's correct.
Mr. Vogt, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, number 18, Nevada State spa and salon